The idea to excel, the passion to succeed, and attract abundance in one's life is relevant for all of us. The zeal to break the bondage of limitations gets an additional boost with newness unfolded with the new year. Dr. Devanshi Kapadia is a life coach with a difference. She's a medical doctor, but her education also includes courses in Holland and Germany to appreciate the subtle aspects of human beings. She visits many countries and conducts workshops to help people identify and take care of the blocks preventing them from realizing their full potential. In an extended conversation with Ashok Vyas at ITV studio during her recent New York visit, she shared her experiential wisdom. Here are some excerpts from that conversation.
It is very difficult for people to first of all think that there's someone other than them who knows more about them than they themselves. So there is ego that prevents people from opening up. Secondly, accepting also. What has been your experience?
It is reaching a point where people do understand that okay, if this is happening to me repeatedly, then I have to either resolve it or learn to live with it. And in either of the cases, two things will drive you to finding a resolution. One, if it translates in the form of a physical disease, or second, if you see your near and dear one suffering, then these are the two situations in which we feel that people completely drop down their guards and come for help. Suppose if that doesn't happen in a particular setup, in today's time and age, personal mastery is so important to every strata of the world or every strata of the society that everyone is striving for personal excellence or personal mastery in some or the other way. So when an individual comes and if there is a mutual sense of feeling that it's not a very open zone and the person is not ready to unveil anything, we still would feel that everybody undeniably has some kind of a relationship with their parents. It can be good, it can be not so great, or it can be really strained in any way. And even by starting with asking them about how has your childhood been, and if even if nothing and just the childhood trauma or the adolescent trauma or the childhood situation, if an individual can talk about it or can be given the atmosphere to talk about it, does a lot of difference to the person in that moment sitting there. So although coming from other lives and karma and ancestors has its own importance and has its own effect on the human mind, but what predominantly also is to be recognized is if every ego and every resistance of a person considered, but if you can just touch in the childhood events and the childhood traumas, that itself opens up the whole paradigm for a person to work on themselves. So in such cases, when we in some of the countries that I visit, I see people who culturally are resistant to give up too much information. There is a kind of a okay, let me see how it feels. Will this person understand? Is this too much information to give about? And then we just sit down and say, okay, tell me something about your childhood. What is it what that was most strategically important for you in your adolescent age?
Devanshi, there is so much that I want to hear from you. So I want us to go back.
Okay.
After completing your medicine, was there any formal course that you pursued in order to understand more about human mind and this mind modalities? That is one part of my question. And if I may add, so at what point you felt that now you know so much or there is so much clarity in you that this can also be a way to help someone reach to their full potential?
So after stepping out of my medical college and my quest actually got a lot of resolution when I met a teacher itself running an institute in India where they were training people to do regression therapy. And by regression therapy, I don't just mean that you sort of visit your other lives and you check what is happening there. It's also about going a few years backwards in time and seeing that when I was 5 years old, when I was 10 years old, what was that trauma that I internalized, and I'm still living that trauma unconsciously. So my first training was with regression therapy, with healing so another program which is integrated inner child healing, which means going through all the stages of your inner child, right from the time I was born till now, whether it's in my memory bank, it's not in my memory bank, how do I go about healing it? So that was one of my formal trainings, and then on I went to study with a school in Holland which trains therapists around the world. They have a lot of therapists, good therapists around the world, to actually help other people undergo trauma regression, undergo childhood regression, and heal these pockets of trauma which are there sitting in the various locks and stages of life, and unlock the energy that is held there. And one of the most profound schools that I have trained with is called as the Hellinger School, which is based in Germany, from where we have adapted a program called as Systemic Constellations, wherein we completely and entirely focus on resolving ancestral issues. Like, we set up the whole system for the person sitting in front of us through their parents, through their grandparents, and we tell the person that now this is your matrix, and this is you, and this is your whole lineage, and let's see the beautiful interplay of energy which involves diseases, which involves patterns, which involves thoughts, and at what point is the energy disrupted. So
Okay, Devanshi, as I said, there's so much that we want to hear from you. And now allow me to connect the way we in layman's terms
Sure.
have seen trying to arrange energy. There are some people who, I'll say it in Hindi, वो झाड़ा फूका करते हैं,
Correct.
ठीक है? They come and they have some incense, and some of them have something that they do at home. And
Correct.
As a child, if you see them, you feel that something incomprehensible is happening, and most of the time you are skeptical about the way they are doing things. And yet you might have come across cases where the way these people function helps people in becoming normal, and they say that there was a ghost in the person that has gone.
Correct.
So I know this is not scientific and it's totally unscientific, but we also have some more in-depth, profound people. You go in their presence and you feel that you are at peace with
Correct.
yourself. All right.
Correct.
So there is whole tradition of spiritually evolved beings in India, and the space that you're talking about from Holland and Germany, somewhere they overlap or they don't overlap, and how they work with each other.
Completely overlap, because they're all coming back to the basic understanding that we are all surrounded by an electromagnetic field, which we call as the auric field or the auric space or the energy body. And wherever in the world, whenever a person understands a human body beyond the human body, they are actually referring only to this auric space. And in this auric space is all the answers to all the questions. So in India, in the Himalayas, or when the sages meditate, they actually are just working on clearing and realigning this energy field. And all the modalities that we are talking about worldwide, it's again about realigning this whole energy field and auric structure. So even when you're talking about superstitious modalities of healing, and luck by chance something comes and heals you, and you get like a life transforming cure, or somebody tells you place the object in your house in a particular way, or wear this color on a particular day, or use this number in a particular way. Actually, it's nothing but just realigning your auric structure. They, by the modalities of science or senses, can sense that what is lacking or what is out of balance in your auric structure.